Welcome to Central Washington University. Let me tell you about Accessibility Studies program at CWU, because sooner or later, everyone experiences disability, maybe permanently or temporarily, but life goes on and you have to be able to function. That means you need to know about accessibility. Hi, I'm Naomi Jeffrey Peterson, a Wildcat professor. My students call me NJP, which makes it easy because that's my username. So feel free to email me at njp@cwu.edu if there's anything I can help with or that we can collaborate. Here I am in my office in Black Hall, which is on the campus in Ellensburg, surrounded by beautiful foothills and great neoclassical and industrial brick architecture. And you can also see this online. Now, at the moment, that's about all you can see because thanks to the pandemic, most students have joined the minority who used to be the only ones online because they couldn't access the campus. Perhaps this is the new normal, and it will make flexible hours and locations unremarkable, so people both with and without disabilities can all have access. CWU has a commitment to students having an inclusive experience, but also to support their academic needs to be successful in a rigorous curriculum. Everybody functions, but we vary in how well we can do all these essential tasks. That's why people struggle. We have to see ourselves and each other as developing and managing in our own ways. So, what's normal? There's a continuum. Not only do abilities vary greatly, but so does their visibility. In fact, most disability is invisible, but it's nonetheless very challenging. We also have to look at ability in context. Sometimes vulnerability can come from personal characteristics like temporary or chronic disability or condition, or you might have a personal circumstance that's abusive relationships or chronic poverty, or, my goodness, widespread circumstances like the current pandemic. Clearly, if your context is stressful and your experience is traumatic, your capacity to function will be affected. The most common problems are executive functions, soft skills, and fatigue. What does that look like in the classroom? And for that matter, what does it look like on the job? If you notice several issues emerging, like having trouble concentrating or keeping up with the work, reach out. There are people on campus who can help. Talk to your advisor, to your professors, to your RA, to counselors. It's normal to have trouble when life is troubling. We're on a campaign to stamp out ableism. That's the arrogant assumption that others have the same ability and the same context as you. It's like racism, but it's not about color or culture. It's ability. It's just as difficult to confront as racism because the prejudice is usually so subtle. People have a right to dignity and autonomy, no matter what they look like or what they're able to do. Instead, we hope everyone will learn how to deal with challenges and prevent barriers. We hope accessibility will become common sense. There are several strategies for equity. Equal treatment originally meant you simply got access, but you're on your own to cope. Individual accommodations are more equitable to allow realistic access. But universal design removes systemic barriers, both physical and social, like stigma. This, my friends, is the new normal that we're hoping for. But meanwhile, individual accommodations are arranged through disability services. In the workplace, human resources tends to respond to those needs. They consider the perspectives of the people involved and the best practices of instruction and the latest innovations in technology so they can figure out what might help individual students with special needs succeed. They identify the need, develop the methods, provide support, so ta-da, learning is accessible. But if you have some condition that complicates your success as a student, you gotta register with disability services in order for professors to accommodate you. Another strategy for equity is to strengthen capacity of the students. We know that autonomy, competence, and affiliation are needed for self-regulation. but also for advocacy for themselves and others in their careers and personal lives. On a personal level, 100% of people, that means you, will experience some disability in their lives. They can be in your family or your workplace or simply yourself. You need to learn the accessibility knowledge base and be part of an inclusive society. Accessibility Studies offers those tools for autonomy, competence, and affiliation. Other programs focus on important dimensions of this complex phenomena, but ours is simply the knowledge base needed by everyone in any career. It's a modest, practical specialization, enriching all other degree programs. In 2017, we began offering a professional certificate and undergraduate minor in accessibility studies, the first in the country. In the Wildcat tradition of experiential learning, we walk the talk of being accessible ourselves as we promote accessibility by being online. This year, we launched the graduate level courses as certificate or specialization within master's degree programs. We need more advocacy, awareness, and acceptance so that you can speak for yourself and speak for others. This is very complex. It requires the integration of the best minds in all fields of study. Vulnerable populations' experience needs to be studied. Wellness also needs to be understood by all these different career fields. So you're going to go for a career. Doesn't matter what your major is. You'll be better off if you understand how people with disabilities can work in it and are served by it. You might be developing products that make their lives easier, which means they make everyone's lives easier. That's because if you design something well for a vulnerable population, everyone benefits. Who doesn't like automatic door openers? Who doesn't like curb cuts? It's not just the deaf folks who like closed captioning, and it's not just people with disabilities who appreciate being able to work from home. That's universal design. Before your major, though, you have to think about your general education, or gen eds. This includes the knowledge base of a broad education for a full and meaningful life. Again, integrating subjects. You've probably heard about the 7 knowledge areas that intersect with 6 pathways that help you find meaningful topics. ASP is part of all 3 components, offering a first-year experience, a knowledge area with 2 pathways, and a capstone project. For only 21 credits, you can add a minor to your major, and it's easy to add 1 class at a time for a year, or you can take all 4 in one summer. Each course in Accessibility Studies program is meaningful both personally and professionally. ASP 305, Accessibility and User Experience, introduces models of disability and landmark laws, as well as issues of stigma. ASP 325, Universal Design, addresses ADA compliance and the principle that designing something well for vulnerable populations results in a better design for everyone. ASP 435, Accessible Information Design, focuses on the web accessibility guidelines for better communication both online and in person. Finally, ASP 485, Accessibility Capstone Project, is a hands-on experience with a real-world environment. That gets you a certificate. Add 5 more credits of electives and you've got a minor. We offer 2 electives. ASP 490 internships are arranged individually. You can spread credits across multiple terms in order to take advantage of your full-time allowance. ASP 498 media portrayals of disability is offered in the summer. In addition, many other courses qualify for the elective requirement. Often you can count one that you're already taking for your major. Talk to me and I'll help you get the most out of your credits. Let me mention a little about the capstone project that's required for your general education requirements. ASP's capstone is an independent project on a real-world issue. You study it from an accessibility point of view, and you write up your analysis and recommendations. And you start thinking about it in the 3 courses leading up to it, 305, 325, 435. They all help you with the knowledge you need. Here's some examples. Chelsea Rivas has a son who uses a motorized wheelchair, so she was interested. How does he get out of the building from the 2nd floor when there's a fire drill? Because that shuts down the elevators. Hannah wrote a handbook for bus drivers to understand passengers with autism. Katie was interested in people with disabilities who have trouble getting off of SSI and being independent, while Michael was interested in the employment opportunities in Yakima for people with intellectual disabilities. Jasmine studied parks. Hannah happened to be a geology major, and she was studying tsunamis. She mapped an evacuation route in Port Angeles if a tsunami hits. Umberto studied the CWU web app for accessibility by people who are visually impaired, just like himself. Han interviewed elderly people in her native China to study accessible user experience. Catherine told a personal story of her experience with the condition resulting in learning challenges, and Emma designed lesson plans to teach fifth graders about stigma. Whatever you're interested in, accessibility applies. Now we're developing synergy across campus. We're pleased that so many degree programs at Central are now partnering with accessibility studies. It's a chance to apply your major in a meaningful, personal, and professional way. You're also invited to join the new Accessibility Studies Program Club, the very first that's completely online at CWU. Meet people who are simply interested in accessibility. You don't have to be in the program. They get together to chat every other week. Join every Friday at 11:30 for a brown bag Zoom. Contact the president, Angela Kyle, if you're interested. The link will be posted on Central Today's news. And of course, our Facebook page, Accessibility Studies at CWU. You may be interested in taking a course. ASP 184 is a first-year seminar, and ASP 305 both satisfy Gen Ed requirements. All the courses except the internship and capstone can be taken by anyone in any order. There are no prerequisites. Courses are offered online, and every quarter there's at least 2. We don't just teach. We're also scholars who have published in this area. For instance, here's a chapter I wrote on accessibility and acceptance for university students with diverse abilities. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's about this program or any other topic.